Hello, this is Sydney Brown from Channel 1 Action News. Today we will recall a disease known as poliomyelitis, or polio. Back in 1916, the polio epidemic broke out in New York City. Doctors diagnosed 9,000 cases and over 2,300 people died. 5 years later, our former President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was diagnosed with polio. When he became president, he was rarely seen in a wheelchair because he wanted to look strong towards the people. Many rehabilitation centers filled up with many children that were put in iron lungs. An iron lung is a machine that assisted polio victims in breathing. In 1951, Dr. Jonas Salk had to develop a vaccine that would eradicate polio. 3 years later, the vaccine was tested on almost 2 million kids. However, it soon caused polio instead of prevented it. Dr. Albert Sabin unleashed an oral polio vaccine and was accepted by doctors in 1964. Eventually, America was officially polio-free. Though most people who had polio died, there were a couple survivors. And many people lived through that time of polio. I am interviewing Roseanne Brown, who lived through the time of polio. So hello, Roseanne.
Hi, Sydney.
So I'm going to ask you a couple questions about polio.
Okay, and I'll try to think up some good answers.
So, how and when did you get your first polio vaccine?
Okay, I think it was about 22 or 23. We went down to the Castle Shannon Fire Hall. They gave it to us orally, and I think the color of the vaccine was red.
Well, that's interesting. Any other experiences?
Yes, when I was little, my mother wouldn't let me go to the pool in the summer because she was worried about the disease being transmitted there.
Anything else?
Yes, we weren't allowed to drink out of public water fountains.
How about the iron lung?
Well, I didn't know anybody personally that had polio or was in an iron lung, but I do remember that people who had the polio when they recovered, they had to walk with braces.
All right. Any final thoughts?
Yes, I think I read somewhere where the people who had polio in their youth, when they were in their 50s, they had the symptoms return, but I don't know why.
Well, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Though most countries in the world are polio-free, there are still some countries that are still affected by it. 4 main countries that are affected by polio are India, Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. There are also some countries that have polio because infected people imported it. Right now, iron lungs are still used in these countries. Oral vaccines are given to many babies in these countries and the polio-free countries, so the next generation of people will be polio-free. This is Sydney Brown from Channel 1 Action News signing off.